Welcome to What If Realm, where one change reshapes destiny. What if one brutal moment never happened? What if the sword never fell? What if Jaime Lannister never lost his hand? And the man known as the Kingslayer remained whole in body as well as pride, still carrying the strength that defined his identity, still believing the world could be mastered by steel and confidence rather than humility and consequence. And today, we enter a timeline where Jaime escapes the fate that humbled him. Not through luck alone, but through altered circumstance, as Brienne anticipates the danger of the brave companions earlier, forcing a violent skirmish that allows them to flee before the mercenaries can capture and mutilate Jaime, leaving him shaken but intact, sword hand strong, ego untouched. And when he eventually returns to King's Landing, he does not return as a broken knight seeking purpose, but as the golden lion restored to full strength, commanding immediate respect from the King's Guard and renewed confidence from Cersei, whose political boldness increases dramatically with Jaime once again serving as her shield and executioner, reinforcing her authority through intimidation rather than negotiation. And for a time, the capital stabilizes under visible strength. Criminals fear the gold cloaks, dissent remains quiet, and the illusion of control satisfies the court. Yet beneath this surface order grows a quiet resentment among the people who see Jaime not as protector, but as enforcer, a symbol of Lannister dominance rather than justice. And without the trauma that once forced him to re-examine his identity, Jaime remains emotionally anchored to his old self, loyal to Cersei without question, dismissive of honor as a romantic lie, confident that power justifies action, yet his travels with Brienne still plant faint seeds of doubt. Not enough to reshape him immediately, but enough to linger like distant thunder waiting for storm. And when Tywin dies in this timeline through natural causes rather than assassination, the political vacuum intensifies Cersei's paranoia and ambition, with Jaime increasingly becoming the visible face of royal authority, suppressing the rise of the Faith Militant early through arrests and intimidation, preventing their full political explosion, but also creating deeper resentment among the population, who feel spiritually oppressed. While Tyrion's exile remains a wound, Jaime avoids confronting, unable to reconcile loyalty to his brother with loyalty to Cersei, allowing guilt to simmer quietly rather than forcing transformation. And as the realm stabilizes uneasily, news spreads of Daenerys Targaryen's growing power across the narrow sea, dragons reborn and armies rising, on Jaime, still thinking in traditional battlefield logic, pushes for direct military readiness rather than diplomatic outreach, confident that discipline and experience can overcome any threat. While Cersei encourages this aggressive posture, mistaking fear for strength. And when Daenerys finally arrives in Westeros with dragons and allies, the first confrontation becomes a devastating lesson for Jaime, as dragonfire shatters formations that once defined battlefield supremacy. Knights burning within armor, siege engines melting before impact, and Jaime narrowly surviving an aerial assault that leaves him shaken not physically, but psychologically, realizing for the first time that his sword, his skill, and his reputation mean nothing against a force that rewrites the rules of war. And this defeat fractures his certainty far more deeply than physical loss ever could, forcing him into unfamiliar territory where strength no longer guarantees control. And slowly, reluctantly, Jaime begins shifting his mindset toward strategy rather than dominance, studying supply lines, diplomacy, alliances, and population stability, quietly corresponding with Tyrion through intermediaries to seek intellectual guidance rather than emotional reconciliation. And as Cersei grows more reckless, obsessed with absolute control and increasingly willing to sacrifice civilians to maintain power, Jaime begins questioning her decisions openly for the first time. Their once unified front fracturing into tense disagreements. And when Cersei proposes a scorched earth defense plan that would risk mass civilian casualties, Jaime secretly intervenes to evacuate districts under the guise of military preparation, prioritizing innocent lives over political loyalty, marking the first major moral choice driven not by punishment or loss, but by conscious responsibility. And this quiet rebellion deepens his internal conflict as he realizes he can no longer coast both Cersei and the realm simultaneously. That loyalty without conscience becomes complicity. And as Daenerys tightens political pressure rather than launching immediate destruction, alliances shift away from the crown, food shortages threaten unrest, and the city begins turning against Cersei's rule. Jaime understands that continued resistance will only lead to catastrophic loss of life. And faced with the inevitable collapse, he chooses a path that would once have been unimaginable, coordinating quietly with moderate council members and Tyrion to remove Cersei from power before the city becomes a battlefield. Not through assassination, but through strategic isolation, seizing control of command structures, securing key gates, and forcing Cersei into custody without bloodshed. A move that breaks Jaime emotionally, but saves thousands of lives. And when Daenerys enters the capital, she finds a city spared from mass destruction, a ruler already removed, and a reluctant knight standing not as enemy, but as protector of the people, opening the door for negotiation rather than annihilation. And in the aftermath, Jaime resigns from formal political authority, recognizing that power once corrupted his judgment and that his purpose now lies not in dominance, but in protection and rebuilding, choosing to remain within the Kingsguard, not as a weapon, but as a stabilizing presence devoted to restraint. While his relationship with Tyrion slowly heals through mutual respect rather than guilt. And though history never celebrates him as a flawless hero, it remembers him as the knight who chose responsibility over blood loyalty when it mattered most, proving that redemption does not always require physical suffering. That growth can emerge from conscious accountability rather than forced loss. And as peace gradually stabilizes the realm, and dragons become guardians rather than symbols of terror, Jaime's legacy evolves from Kingslayer to quiet protector. A man who learned that honor is not perfection, but the willingness to choose the harder path when power tempts easier cruelty. And so, in this timeline where the sword never fell and the hand was never lost, Jaime Lannister still finds transformation, not through broken flesh, but through awakened conscience, reminding us that destiny is shaped not only by tragedy, but by choice. And if this journey through altered fate stirred your imagination, remember to like, subscribe, and share your own what-if ideas with What If Realm, because every question opens a new world, and every world begins with one brave thought.